Let's see here. How do we do this? Internal. Check 1, 2. Check. I don't know. I don't know. Maybe you guys can hear me. Maybe. Hi. I'm waiting for Kaylin. I don't know where Kaylin is. I don't know where Kaylin is. Let's tweet this guy. Let's see. That's seriously bright, isn't it? Let's see. Waiting on Kaylin. Country song. You want me to play a country song that sounds like Waiting on Kaylin? I can do that. Why not? Since we're sitting around waiting anyway. Kaylin's not in the group chat. Let's see here. What can I make up a song called "Waiting on Kaylin"? He had to get his outfit on. Oh, I like this. TJ, keep feeding me lyrics, man. This is good stuff. Let's see, it needs to be. It's country because the TJ's doing the country thing, right? Let me text this fool. Where is he? There we go. Kaylin, I'm singing country songs while waiting for you. Let me DM him here. He's in the yard working hard. At least we've got TJ. We didn't have TJ, no, we wouldn't have anything. Right? I love that this is happening right now because this is technically all my fault. I told Kaylin I couldn't do it about an hour ago and to hold it off by an hour, and then he saw it right as the stream started, and so there you go. But I didn't hear back from him, so I made other plans. Let's see. Waiting on Kaylin. Where is he? Waiting on Kaylin Jordan. Waiting for him to show up. By the way, is that a good chord? So that I can blow up. Just waiting on Kaylin. This is going to be really boring if it's just me making up songs waiting for Kaylin. And this is a video that will get deleted eventually, I'm sure. He's not going to Chipotle. Where's Kaylin? He's waiting on he's got his tank top on. We could make up like a John Mayer-esque sort of tank top song, right? That sounds like a John Mayer sort of a vibe, I think. Where's this guy? How is everybody out in the Magenta worlds? Yeah? Good? Let's work on this here. He probably doesn't know that I don't mind just destroying the live feed and all of our subscribers by playing with a guitar. Yeah, this is interesting. This is a great way to live stream. I need to take some live stream lessons from TJ. Oh, someone text. Did he just text me? Oh, here he comes. Oh, Lordy coming. Oh, man. Let's see if he's getting back in here. Where's Kaylin? This is sort of my vengeance on, him not reading his text messages, was just for me to go live without him and to bore everybody. Yeah. But he wouldn't have believed that I was actually going to do this today if I went live without him. And that's okay.
Hey, you really are singing country songs.
There he is. I hear it. I hear him, but I don't see him. There he is.
Hey, man.
Hey,
dude, I'm all over the place. I was like,
yeah, we're live.
Over. Oh, we're actually live.
Yeah. Oh, it's live. Yeah. No, we don't play around.
We don't mess around.
We don't play around. We're not messing around.
I
got my guitar. I was serenading the people, making up songs about you not showing up to the broadcast, just making you look bad, actually.
Well played.
Where is Kaylin?
Right.
Probably eating a banana. Right? He's got to eat that. Eating a 700th banana today. Right? Feeling that? You got that Texas vibe?
Yeah, dude. Keep it coming.
Let's please take this away. This is terrible. Yeah, it's not really my style. What's going on, man?
Oh, dude, what's up, man? I'm just chilling, dude. Chilling like a villain. Working on a play set over here.
Oh my gosh.
I'm invoking my inner David Alger, and
yeah.
Anyway,
that's the yes. We got to do a Mage yes no about what the inner David Alger means. All right, should we open this thing up?
Yeah.
Yeah, this is terrible. It's been awful. It really has been truly terrible. So I'm pretty glad that you came back. All right. Hello and welcome to Magetalk, the Magetalk Community Podcast. I'm Philip.
And I'm Kaylin.
And
I am the better half of the podcast. Clearly Phil cannot do the podcast without me.
I screwed this whole thing up. I was trying to entertain the people, but then I was also texting a whole lot. It was made for a really compelling, 7 or 8 minutes, or 11 minutes, with nothing going on. But yeah. Dude.
Good times.
So you tweeted this whole thing about do people like my content, and then like 75 of the people were like, show me the answers.
Yeah.
What's that all about?
Yes, I was curious. I want to get some feedback on all these wacky videos I've been doing, and
I like them.
Do you? You would say that even if you didn't, though. So I don't.
That's not true. You're disingenuous and sort of just an awful person, is what you're saying.
I didn't go that far. Just saying you're nice. Anyway, so I got 60-something votes. Not statistically significant, but the majority of people just said, just show me the results.
Not statistically. What would be statistically significant?
I don't know.
I feel like if people said that the videos were good and there were 10 people that said that, you'd be like, yeah, that's statistically significant. Because it reinforces the belief I already had.
Yeah, okay. All right.
You know?
You're saying that I'm just clinging desperately to my antiquated beliefs.
Yeah, that's okay.
Antiquated beliefs that are no longer true.
That's okay.
Right.
We'll let that happen.
All right.
We'll let that happen.
Right.
It's totally
Okay.
cool.
All right.
We got a few people in the live stream. Just want to say hi to TJ, who's been keeping me company and feeding me lyrics for the country song that we were writing. You know,
shout out to TJ.
Yeah, my wife left, my dog left, my co-host of my podcast left.
That's like a legit country song. That's like a legit like podcaster country song. Like I bet that song doesn't exist yet. My wife done left me. The dinner is cold. My podcast host is off.
That's you're right there.
Real.
Yeah,
that's real.
Yeah, I feel like there's not enough country songs.
By HEB Sparkling Water.
Dude, you're riding the sparkling water train.
HEB, where better sparkling water is sold.
What?
And back to our host.
We gotta workshop the promo there a little bit.
Workshop that. Workshop is was the fun. Like, who made that a verb? Like, that's not.
There's all kinds of verbs that I just fundamentally disagree with, like woodshed. We're gonna woodshed that one. I'm like, isn't the woodshed where like Papa took you and like, you know, hit you with a switch?
Yeah.
That he made you take it. I'm gonna take you out to the woodshed, son.
I don't even know if I know what woodshed means as a verb.
So it's definitely a term that that musicians use, like when you're gonna like just hit a section over and over and over and kind of loop it until you get it right. And it's like, we call it woodshedding it. You know, we're just gonna woodshed it. Yeah.
Sounds like nonsense, but okay.
You sound just like Blake Shelton, says TJ. That's funny. Oh, hey, Jerry Lopez in the house. Joseph Leedy as well. Gosh, we got the audience. We got the legit players now, you guys.
We got some real players in the room. We got some real players in the room.
Yeah, got those. Jerry, you're a media type, I think, these days, right? I forget.
Yes, that would be correct. Also,
the man.
Jerry updated his avatar recently, and it's looking great. Yeah,
that's a great headshot. That's a great headshot. Is that something Commerce Hero is doing now? Is providing headshots to people?
No. You think everything that I say, you automatically assume is self-promotional.
Yeah, and you're wearing a Commerce Hero shirt, so.
Well, I'm out of laundry, man. I'm out of all my plain color Eddie Bauers, which are the best shirts on the planet. Plain color Eddie Bauer t-shirts. This episode is brought to you. Yeah, I can't remember what else.
There's got to be some Magento news of the week somewhere in here.
Oh yeah, there was that whole keynote announcement.
Only one or two things going on. Only a couple things you're excited about in this world.
Keynote.
What's so your favorite person?
Yeah,
let's talk about this. Let's just go right there. Let's just go right for it.
Yeah, that blew my mind a little bit. So Gary V is the and I know you're about to say his full name, but I refuse to do it, is the keynote speaker for Magento Imagine. I realized you're going to like meet him and like announce him and everything probably, right?
Yeah.
Which is insane. It's madness.
I'll tell you this, though. If it goes anything like last year, I will neither meet him nor announce him. Okay. I didn't get to meet Jamie Foxx, and I didn't announce Jamie Foxx. I did run out afterwards to basically wrap up Mark Lavelle, Jamie Foxx. They had sort of that interview, and Jamie killed it, and it was awesome. And then I was supposed to run out and direct everybody to go to the legendary party afterwards. I ran out specifically a little low, and I had my hand out like this, because I was going to give him like a low high five on the way. He left me hanging. He just ran right past me.
Hey, that's a little bit of a claim to fame, though. Like, I was left hanging by Jamie Foxx.
I'm not doing too well with celebrities, because a few years ago I had Damon John from the Shark Tank
Uh,
call me out. He thought I was surreptitiously filming him at a conference.
what?
And he just got it in his mind that I was like holding my phone in a way to like film him. In
Really?
actuality, I was just sitting there with my phone, like I was just sitting like this. And he thought I was like filming him, and he's like, he stops in the middle of his presentation. He's like, "You with the phone. I see that. Put that away right now." And I didn't know he was talking to me because I had no idea what he was talking about. And
That's
not
ridiculous.
doing well with the celebrities. I'm hoping. I mean, can we call Gary Vaynerchuk a celebrity? I guess is the next question.
Yeah, I think so.
He's a notable person.
Mhm.
Yeah, very notable.
I mean, he's not on the level of like a Jamie. Like Jamie Foxx is like an A-list celebrity.
Right.
So I'd say Gary Vee has a huge following in certain niches on the internet. So he's like, I don't know, C-list celebrity, D-list, something like that. I don't know.
Let's see. So remember Kathy Gifford? She called herself a D-list celebrity.
Oh, did
right?
she?
Yeah. So is he more notable or less notable than Kathy Gifford?
Kathy Gifford? Wait, I think I know who that is, but I'm gonna Google just to be on the 100% safe side.
Oh, not Kathy Lee Gifford. I'm sorry. Somebody help me in the live stream. What's her name?
The
comedian.
The chopping the head off one.
Yes, that one.
Kathy chopping the head off. Let's
Kathy chopping the head off. Show title.
Certain things you got to be careful about Googling.
Right, it's true. Actually,
privacy being what it. Kathy, I can't remember.
Kathy chopping the head off. You know what's really interesting is my friend and yours, Cal Evans, from Nomad PHP land. He had this sort of piece of software that he wrote that sort of tracked the people that follow you on Twitter, and then auto followed them back. And he has that runs on, I think, Nomad PHP and Nomad Mage and a bunch of other accounts. And he, at one point, I said, "Can we set that up for Future Commerce? Would you mind helping me with that?" He's like, "Absolutely. I'll totally help you out with that." So I set it up or I gave him the API keys. He set it up.
Right.
I don't know what it was about Future Commerce, just went haywire one day, and lo and behold, I get a notice from Twitter a few months ago that our account was basically shadow banned because we were following a whole bunch of Taliban fighters.
Whoa!
And speaking of chopping heads off, I was trying to figure out, like, I would go in and I'm like, why is everybody that I'm following a jihadist? Like,
that's alarming.
Pretty dark.
That is fairly dark. By the way, is it true that ISIS has been pretty much conquered? I keep hearing that. I'm hearing that from more and more people. Kind of
more and more people are telling me that ISIS is conquered. There's the show title.
Yeah.
That's something else. So nobody's helping in the comments with Kathy chopping her head off. Kathy
Griffin?
Chopping Griffin.
Griffin, right?
That's what I was. Kathy.
Griffin. In terms of mainstream, like he's probably not as well known, but in a business context, I'd say he's much more.
But the problem is the Venn diagram of people that know who Kathy Griffin is pretty large when compared with any other industry.
Yeah,
right,
exactly. Because she's any mainstream celebrity has a much bigger footprint.
Let me repeat the phrase that you just said, which is like, Kathy Griffin is pretty mainstream. She's pretty well known, but like, as far as like Magento goes, people know Philip Jackson, right?
Yeah, true.
Fair enough.
But I don't know. I thought it was. I'm really interested to hear what he's gonna say, because I've watched, like, I don't know, like 30 keynotes he's getting. Like, I've watched a bunch of his stuff.
Yeah.
And he has kind of a core message, which is a lot. Like he repeats a lot, but he tailors it, I think, pretty well to every audience that he speaks to, I think. So I'm really, really curious. Also, I've heard him talk about Shopify a ton. And mostly that's in the context, I think, of people that are starting out in e-commerce. And I'm sure he gets the difference between more mature businesses and businesses that are starting out. But he's also always brutally honest with everybody. So I'm super interested to hear what he's gonna say.
Yeah.
So
I have a sense that he's not the last and final person that will be that we will know who or is notable who will be speaking at Imagine. So.
I feel like you're teasing something out there.
I'm not allowed to tease. Yeah. I'm not allowed to. I'm a mage tease, is what I am.
You're teasing some stuff out.
A bit of a mage tease. Yeah, Adobe is not allowed to tease. We have to give SEC notices that I do not. The words that I say do not reflect the opinions of Adobe or any of its subsidiaries.
Are things more buttoned up now with Adobe being involved?
I can't.
I cannot comment. On the advice of my attorney, I cannot comment on that.
Yeah, let me put it like this. So in other Magento news.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, in other Magento news, there was a resource launched called MageRes. I'm gonna find a link to it.
Yeah, could you actually? So we didn't get this all straightened out before the show, but I had requested access to the doc, les doc.
I forgot to give you access to the doc.
Could you grant me?
Yeah, let me do that real quick.
I've been thoroughly docked.
I told you you'd been docked, and I apparently was speaking out of turn.
You're docking me so hard right now.
Docked. Okay. Now you've been docked.
Okay. Yeah.
So
I got the thorough dockage.
There you go. Yeah. So Alessandro Ronchi. Launched this. It's a list of Magento resources, curated list of useful Magento resources.
Yeah.
What I don't exactly know is how it's different from the Magento Awesome list.
Well, it's 4 days old and not 4 years old. So there's that. It's newer.
It's newer.
But I think he also committed that he would not committed. See what I did there? Badumcha.
Mm-hmm.
I think he said that this would be sort of a weekly digest in the same vein that,
Right. Okay. Yeah. That does definitely differentiate it. Yeah. So this is cool. So you can check it out.
It's thorough. Very thorough.
It's pretty thorough.
Super interesting. So from an events perspective, there's links to publicly available calendars. So a Magento events Google Calendar.
Oh, that's
if you go to events, click on events, and then go to the Magento events. All the Meet Magento events are on there, and all the Magento Live events are on there. If you go to community engineering, there's a publicly available GCal of all of the sort of PWA grooming call, the multi-source inventory weekly stand-up, the bulk API live stream. If you feel like you're missing stuff, just go to MageRes and go subscribe to all these Google calendars. That's a good start. Yeah,
you can go to, on Twitter, it's MageRes_info, MAGERES_info. You can go to mageres.info, and that redirects to the GitHub. And then there's also a monthly digest sign up at bit.ly/MageRes digest.
Do you know what's on here?
We need to work a little bit on the consistency of those different URLs. That's all I'm saying.
Everything's Mage or Gento. There's something that is not very obvious, and maybe I'll do a pull request and make an update. Here under dev boxes and Docker, there is a super interesting Mark Schust just put out a free course, which I found really handy. So Mark Schust has I don't know if you've seen it. Actually, yeah, it's missing here. I'll add it. So if you go to markschust.com, I think. Yes. And then there's a free course that you can enroll in, set up a Magento 2 development environment with Docker, and it shows you all the right ways to do it so that it's performant even on a Mac, which has kind of been a big deal, and one of the barriers to entry for people running, Mac OS with Docker. So that, that's not really in our doc to talk about, but it's one of those things.
But but aren't people using Valet Plus, or is that not a?
Oh, Valet
Oh,
Plus
okay.
is the bomb. It's awesome, and I use it, and it's I live and die by Valet Plus at this point in my life. And Dave McCauley just had a recent article that he blogged about.
A blog article.
He's a blog article. What year is it? Dave McCauley. I'm Googling for it. Oh, it's in MageRes. It's right here.
Look at that.
Which is cool. It's actually the only Valet Plus article. So DaveMcCauley.com, MaCaulay, for the people that are on the audio version of the podcast. And Dave McCauley walks through like how to set up Magento 2 on macOS using Valet Plus. What's awesome is Valet Plus can be useful for a lot of things, especially if you're using stuff that, like if you have other things, other projects that you don't have Docker images or Docker setups for. So I guess all that to say, I do use Valet, but I love me some Docker too.
Okay.
And that was a pretty new course, and it's a free course. So if you're wanting to get into Docker and try to figure that out, that's
But what's the use case for using Docker as opposed to Valet Plus?
One would be that if you are deploying with Docker,
and you got to match up to the environment that's
right. You could actually have a mirrored production environment. So deploying with Docker, if you're using something like Elastic Container Service with or Docker Hub, depending on how you're actually deploying your production environments, or it doesn't even have to be production environments. I know a lot of people that use Docker for orchestration for QA boxes, right? Just to set up a bunch of QA instances that are pointed to a certain Git branch because they're not using Magento Cloud that just does that.
Isn't it safe to assume that any sort of non-trivial Magento build these days, you're going to want to have your environment synced up with?
Yeah.
Okay. So then it's generally not a good because I use Valet Plus, but for simple stuff I'm working on. But why would you want to use Valet Plus then if that's not going to sync up your production environment?
Phenomenal question. So there's a couple reasons. Not everything that you work on a daily basis. Let me steer it in a different direction. If you have a very large and sort of distributed team, and you have if onboarding is sort of a pretty regular thing that you're doing, like let's say you hire a lot, and maybe you have enough developers where you have people cycling in and out of projects, or maybe you're dealing with more than one client, you're going to need something more than Valet, because Valet is the kind of thing that just kind of requires you to manually set up a local development instance. You have to go and type stuff for Homebrew. You have to go and type stuff, you're curating a bunch of sites. So if you hop between a lot of projects and you don't it's basically a big, huge pain in the rear. You're going to have a database snapshot. You're going to have you're going to have to pull some code down and set it up and run Composer and do all that garbage, which, if you are a merchant if you're working at a merchant with a small team on a single site or a fixed number of sites, and that's not really changing and doesn't have the probability of changing a lot, then Valet is perfect for you. For all other cases, I would look at some other solution that allows you to sort of, take the pain of setting up development environments or development instances and do away with that pain by, having someone, maybe a DevOps person in your organization that sets it up, so that once it's set up, everybody can benefit from it. The new hotness, which Fabrizio Branco, may he rest in mage peace. He's still alive. I don't think he does Magento anymore, because he's making that AWS paper nowadays. But Fabrizio Branco, once upon a time, was messing around with running windowed VMs over VNC screen shares, where he was doing code, all of his code development environments were in AWS on EC2 instances. So he was running literal Linux servers that were running, desktop GUIs that he was VNCing into and using those. And in those cases, you could probably image that and share it around, and people are then using PHP Storm, remotely. I've been playing with something called Cloud9 from AWS, which literally does that, but it does it in a browser. So you don't need something like VNC. But there's 100 ways to skin a cat, and Magento happens to be the cat in this instance. But you use Valet. You like Valet?
Yeah, Valet's cool. The Valet's definitely cool.
I wanted you to talk more about that but you seem to not want to divulge all of your secret sauce.
Oh no, I have no secret. No, I have no secret sauce. I was looking at Fabrizio's profile because when you mentioned him, I thought he like reappeared, and I checked his Twitter and it didn't look like he reappeared. So.
No, yeah, Fabrizio.
Fabrizio
is done with Magento, I think.
I tweeted recently like I miss Fabrizio, and then I
saw
realized
that.
and then I realized like it might have sounded like I thought he died or something, but he obviously did not. But I just missed seeing him on Twitter and at events and stuff like that. But anyways, Valet Plus is cool. Man, I haven't done much development lately. To be
really,
honest. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, you not a month ago you were big on the Vue.
Oh yeah, I was
PWA train, like you were.
Yeah, I was going gangbusters.
You were going hard on
yeah,
stuff.
I was going hard. I've been jumping around to different projects quickly. Yeah.
I will say on the Valet Plus front, which we've given this way more attention than it deserves at this point. But Dave McCauley wrote a cool blog. So, but on the Valet Plus front, if you want to just install and try out, Magento 2.3.1 to, Commerce Edition, just to check out what the page builder functionality is like, Valet Plus, boom, it's up and running in 2 minutes.
Yeah.
And like installing with sample data is absolutely trivial now, which only took 3 years to get there. But it's super easy to spin new stuff up really quick.
Yeah.
So it's always handy to have around, even if you are doing Docker-centric stuff. But I'll tell you, I'm doing a lot of what I'm playing with nowadays is marrying up content from various sources with GraphQL on like Gatsby sites, which
cool.
is super interesting. Like I'm, there's a growing there's a trend that I'm seeing where people might be able to justify having Magento and Shopify and some CMS like WordPress or Netlify or Contentful or something like that in disparate parts of their organization and still use it to feed various sites. So if you wanted to launch a whole bunch of like sub mini sites, you can do that because you have API centric e-commerce capabilities, which I think I'm eating my words now, because I think maybe 3 years ago I was poo-pooing this, with people like Lizards and Pumpkins and those sorts of projects where it's like, we're going to, create API layers that you can push, catalog anywhere. It seemed like a panacea that wasn't ever going to play out, and certainly has actually turned into a very real thing. So
what's the use case for, like you're saying, Magento, Shopify, and is it like Magento's the main site and then Shopify is spinning up little microsites?
You'd be surprised. There are plenty of very large companies that have, let me see, how can I do this? If you're a Fortune 100 company, you probably do a lot of things. Like you don't have a product or even a handful of products. Not everybody's Apple, right? So you probably have e-commerce purchasing portals all over your organization that, are sort of cobbled together for all kinds of use cases. Everything from like print materials to resupply, printed materials in stores to actual like product replenishment or, or ordering for, on behalf of a customer, or there's like some B2B use case. So you'd be very surprised how many, companies are using OS commerce that's from something that they built 12, 15 years ago.
It's crazy.
It is crazy. And they still want to make use of, you know, the Shopify site that they had from 7 years ago. They still want to make use of that catalog because it's not like moving that to another place is going to buy them any new functionality. They just want to surface that data elsewhere.
Mm-hmm.
So it's interesting.
Yeah. Yeah. Hey, extension of the week ish. I saw some tweets for people asking some questions about product import export, and I know that Unergy is a go-to for a lot of people.
Mm-hmm.
Is that still your main recommendation? Are there?
Did you happen to dig into this, you know, tweet thread?
A little bit. So Paul Rogers posted out the question.
Yeah.
He got some responses back. Somebody mentioned Unergy, and he said that he'd gotten some feedback on it that wasn't all entirely positive. But so that I was curious to kind of dig into that, like to know a little better, like how. And then David Lambauer, who actually was the guy that did that awesome list that we mentioned before. Actually used to work with Fabrizio. Everything's tying together in this episode.
This is amazing.
Used to work at AOE with Fabrizio. It was saying that I have not seen a Magento import export module that's fast, secure, stable, and easy to use. And he said he personally uses the Firebear Studio one, which is funny. I just remembered that we had mentioned the Firebear import export a couple episodes back because they had hit me up about it and said to check it out, and I thought it looked interesting and stuff. So, so I don't know. Yeah, so I guess I'm curious what you're seeing on the ground.
Yeah, I'm. So I waded into this thread and sort of got into a little bit of a back and forth that was really off topic and sort of esoteric with Scott Buchanan.
Oh, now I'm seeing this. This is
about it.
Great. Okay, I'm going to read this as you talk.
Yeah. So Scott was basically saying, let's, have you used the commercial version of the Firebear extension? And there was some back and forth as to whether or not, that's been vetted or tried, or how much use has, people have gotten out of it. And, I kind of jumped in and said, really, I mean, there's really only 3 or 4 players in this space. If it's not Unergy or URapidFlow or the Firebear import export, which is, but a year old, then you've got Magme, which Magme has its own challenges. And, if you deploy it, it's basically an admin service that runs in your Magento that you have to be very careful to not deploy that to other places like your production environment. So it's that has its own challenges as well. I think that, what I was getting into was that, at Something Digital, we use Unergy. We use URapidFlow a lot. I would say 99% of what we build has RapidFlow somewhere in that world, and probably Extento to some extento as well. Because there's like
some extento.
There are some use cases that make a lot of sense. Like not everything's import. Like from an export perspective, Extento makes a lot of sense for a lot of things. API, like if I could get on a soapbox for a second,
people I'm gonna be giggling about that for the next couple minutes. Just so
shout out to Sebastian.
Okay. Please proceed.
People want to, like, if I could soapbox about API integrations. API integrations have their own challenges, right? So if I first of all, Magento doesn't have webhooks native. So if an order takes place, the only way for an API call to happen to an ERP platform is either I build it and put that into Magento, or I have my ERP platform querying or polling Magento to try to get that stuff out of the API.
Dude, can I just say webhooks? Sorry to interrupt. Can I just say webhooks? I've been wanting to see that built. I was at one point, I think I did a little bit of work on trying to build that. And that's exactly the type. You know how I've said that when you talk about PWA and things like that, and I keep thinking to myself, Magento should focus on the API layer. That's where they should put all their emphasis. Let the front end take care of itself.
Yeah.
And imagine if Magento built that. That seems like something that should be built in the core webhooks. right?
And I know that this, there has been some discussion in over many years around Magento 2 and webhooks. The very first Imagine that I ever attended, which I think was 2012, they were announcing that webhooks were going to be in Magento 2. And then that got pulled out. It was around the same time that the discussion about, Twig templating being in Magento 2. And I remember Sweet Tooth, the Sweet Tooth guys, now Smile, Sweet Tooth, rest in Mage Peace.
Show title.
Sweet Tooth, I've got to update the show title now from Kathy chopping heads off with him.
I like rest in Mage Peace better. That's pretty good.
How about capital rest? REST. Rest, because that's APIs. Rest in Mage Peace. Okay.
Does the awesome list also rest in Mage Peace, or has it been updated?
I'm gonna go. Someone go update the awesome list to have rest in Mage Peace. Like big. I'm talking capital rest. Like haha. What was I talking? Oh, so Sweet Tooth had built a webhooks extension for some time. Like having triggers that happen in certain instances of important things that happen in the life cycle of an application. Those seem like really important core features, but they're not there.
Yeah.
So you need something that effectively provides a webhook, whether it's API or flat file driven. Like anyway, Unergy or uRapidFlow provides a lot of that. Like they actually have asynchronous jobs that will be able to output XML files on a per order basis or inventory updates. Those things can also be in uRapidFlow, can push files via SSH to other servers, tertiary servers, or via FTP, other servers. Those are handy things that no one wants to build. Like you do that on every single project, and uRapidFlow is really solid for that. There are some edge casey weird things that we've encountered, especially on Magento Cloud, where uRapidFlow has fallen over and blown things up. But what we've decided is we need to partner with these companies because they provide tremendous amount of functionality for our clients, and we're hanging our hat on them in a big way. Like we need to be good partners and help them and provide support to them to make their product better. And that's sort of what I was saying to Scott Buchanan is like, it's not about the tool. Forget the tool, because tools change, tools evolve, tools get better over time or go away over time. You need a partnership. If you don't have a partnership, then, the tool only serves one purpose for one client. Like the partnership is the thing that's valuable, and it's the thing that remains over a long period of time. And Scott keeps coming back to, but I have a problem. I need to solve it right now. And I'm like, you don't understand. The partnership is the important part. Like I'll use an example that might resonate with you, Kaylin. Like you've built a partnership with Meteotype. Like that seems very evident. Like you guys seem like you're in like Flynn. You work together. You're going to make each other successful. You're going to refer each other business. You're going to help each other grow. And those types of relationships are what make successful companies, because it's beyond just I have a problem, I need it to be fixed, I have to get on Twitter and yell at people. It's that I have a relationship that I developed with someone, and I can pick up the phone and call them when I get in a bind, or I can send them an email and they're going to be responsive to me because we have a human connection.
Yeah, I see what you're saying. Couple thoughts.
No tool is going to be perfect all the time. Magento is not perfect all the time, right?
Yeah.
Freaking Linux isn't perfect all the time. Like, there's
all
all kinds of problems in our ecosystem.
Yeah. I do want to correct the record real quick on the awesome list. It actually has been, last update was April. He's been updating it pretty consistently. So
okay. All right.
Good job on keeping that updated. I think, here's the thing though. Here's the thing that I got to say is that what his argument was that, he had this particular issue, wasn't able to get it resolved. I remember when you had some issues that needed to be resolved, and you had to throw your weight around. And you've got a lot of weight to throw around.
Not as much anymore, but
you've got less weight now, but you've got more weight, less physical weight, more. But you had to do that in order to get them to look at the issue. And I would argue that people that have less weight to throw around would have a different experience there.
Part of right now
you're
Scott
saying
said as much too, right?
Like right now you're like saying, well, it's never about one particular issue. It's about the broader partnership. But at the time, it sounded like it was very much about one specific issue that you had.
Yeah, and here's how I'll answer that. there's also a maturity factor, right? There's a maturity factor of people involved, and small companies get distracted by small things sometimes, and they don't take the bigger picture. They don't take the bigger view,
Yeah.
right? And in that situation, like the more like not answering a ticket for a week or two at a time is unacceptable for anybody, right? And certainly I would say unacceptable for the client that was at stake, and certainly unacceptable for the partner that was involved. And so it was unfortunate that I had to sling a little mud to get them to answer. But you know what they did? And you know what they did after that? They changed a lot of things in the organization to prioritize making sure that tickets got answered within a certain SLA. And they fixed a lot of issues that were sort of like level 3 issues that required a lot of partnership with Magento Cloud and the Magento Cloud team. And that was something we helped to put into place. I think we all learned out of that. But to say that like we're because someone had a problem somewhere one time that I heard about, that somebody talked about, like I'm not gonna get attention, is sort of a lazy way of saying, like, like you're going into it with the mindset of failure. You're going into it saying like, I heard this thing what didn't work one time. Like you're not proving that out for yourself, right?
Yeah, I mean, I think that also customer relationships get solidified when you have a problem and then it gets resolved, especially if it gets resolved in this very thorough way. Like you're saying, there were changes made organizationally to improve response times in general, stuff like that. And I think that's really solidified your relationship with them and your partnership with them. If it goes the other way and you hit a blocker and you're just completely blocked, there's literally no way to fix this issue. Can't do it because of encryption, can't do it yourself, they won't support it, then the relationship's going to go a different direction, right?
Yeah, I mean, that's effectively where you are if you're using Magento open source, right? With Magento open source, you're on your own anyway. Like you don't have anyone to partner with. There's no one to call. You don't pick up the bat phone and call, Roy Rubin at night and say, how do you fix my problem? Like it's not 2008 anymore.
Yeah, no, but the main difference with Unity specifically being the encryption. So in that specific case, Scott was unable to resolve it because of the encryption. Which I totally respect the need for the encryption as an extension.
Here's what I find really interesting, and I don't know Scott's issue, right? Like I don't know what the
by
issue
the way, ties into another thing with some other stuff I want to talk about too. So this is
let's get there. Let's get there. I don't want to belabor the point too much, but Scott Buchanan had this one particular issue that he couldn't overcome, right? What do you do when you can't overcome an issue in our community with Magento open source? No, I mean, fine, yeah, tweet about it, but ask somebody. Like, seek out, like, buying software from Unity and then not getting support for it isn't your only recourse. Like, there are hundreds of thousands of sites that use Rapid Flow out there. Like, there's a large community of people to fall back on. Like, I would say that the better way to leverage, like, the better way to solve the problem is just don't let one obstruction stop you. Like, just because the software vendor isn't answering doesn't stop you from, banging down the door of everybody that's ever tweeted about Unity ever. Like posting on Stack Overflow relentlessly about it, hammering, the Magento community forums about it, going and joining Magento community engineering Slack and posting about it in there, like banging a bunch of drums and getting a lot of people's attention. If Scott would have DM'd me and said, I'm having a problem with Unity, I know that you've had the same issues in the past, what did you do to resolve it? I would have picked up the phone and called Boris.
Oh, yeah.
You know what I'm saying? But just getting roadblocked on an issue and writing off a vendor because you couldn't get it solved, like that doesn't help anyone else. It doesn't make them better. It doesn't make anyone else better. And like
transcended to true thought leadership.
Shut up.
No, that was good. So that was really good. That was really good, honestly. But and here's the other thing. They mentioned, Firebear as an alternative. And you also mentioned in the tweet, hey, they look like they're hungry. They look like they're interested in building things out. Yeah. You talk about companies at different levels of maturity. And Unity is at a certain level of maturity. They've been around from the beginning. A lot of people rely on them. And so, somebody like you're going to be a bigger fish to them. Other people are going to be a smaller fish. Everybody has their right niche. Right now, Firebear is hungry. If, let's say, Firebear does get pickup traction, fast forward 5 years, 3 years, they'll be in the same position, right? When they get to a certain stage, they'll be in the same position where they don't have the bandwidth to pay attention to certain types of tickets versus others.
Right.
And it made me think about, stuff I've been hearing about Shopify recently. I don't know how much we want to get into the whole Shopify MailChimp thing, which I think is kind of crazy. But I've in the past always heard really good things about their partnership program. I heard people that moved from Magento over to Shopify ecosystem. Oh, their partnership program is amazing. Now I'm starting to hear different things. I'm starting to hear that the partnership program is closing up. They're putting the walls up. There's like a money grab. They're like there's all like everything's on the Shopify Plus side of things. So they're squeezing partners for percentages and stuff like that. And it's interesting to see that shift as they're becoming as particularly their enterprise offering is becoming more mature, and you see that shift to some of the things that you wouldn't have seen before. But there's a difference in this case, like what happened with MailChimp never would have happened. Like that never happened with Magento. Like Magento partnership program has become more quote enterprisey. That never happened where there's a nuclear blow up and they're completely removed from the platform. Like that's something that's unique to Shopify. Like I don't know. That seems like one of the first times you've seen that happen between two big SaaS players.
Yeah. Just to finish, can we put the pin in the other discussion by saying that, Firebear is a smaller, is effectively like a handful of devs. And they're hungry and they're trying to earn it. And, they understand what the values of the ecosystem are for the people that choose not to use uRapidFlow or Unergy products. And they're trying to aim at that market segment. That's really cool. And you should go develop a relationship with them directly and form a partnership with them, because I don't think they care how big you are. They just want people to adopt the product.
Mm-hmm.
Right. So it has everything to do, the partnership angle still has everything to do with it. Like I say partnership because it's this big word that, means a lot of things. But what I really mean is just develop a relationship. Like it can't just be about tickets over email and software that you paid for. It has to be bigger than that. Mm-hmm. That's how things actually get done. Let's talk about the Shopify thing for a second. What's interesting about Shopify is, and I don't know what I can and can't say in this forum that may, put, I don't want to speak on behalf of Something Digital at all, because Something Digital is a Shopify Plus partner and has been since the beginning of that partnership program. But early on in the Shopify ecosystem, it was entirely possible, and this exists in the Magento ecosystem too. It was entirely possible for you to earn a cut of revenue in perpetuity for sites that were built in a certain time frame. Mm-hmm. So if you built a Shopify website, let's say between 2015 and 2018, there was a very real possibility as a systems integrator that you would get a cut of all revenue in perpetuity. Right. So builds were happening for bargain basement prices because it's a land grab. Like I'm going to go and build as many Shopify sites as I can for as cheap as I can and get as many people to use me as possible, because it could set me up for a revenue stream down the line that is a windfall. Like the people that built KKW or Kim Kardashian West, the people that built Kylie, like, wouldn't they be raking it in because they're billion-dollar businesses? Mm-hmm. Right. So it created this weird downward market pressure where people were building sites inequitably for tens of thousands of dollars or hundreds of dollars just to have the revenue that comes through that platform as a cut of revenue that comes to them as a partner. Those things only existed as competitive advantage in a partner ecosystem to get people to buy into the platform and to build on the platform. Mm-hmm. Right?
Yep.
So it's not a thing that could have lasted forever anyway. And as that started to dry up and they started to shore up their partnership, it's not that they got more enterprisey. It's that they actually started to look like everybody else, and they're not doing, they're not doing the thing that was unsustainable forever, because they now have the cachet, now they have the brands, now they have the they're a public company. Now they have, developers that are in their partnership ecosystem that are building, regardless of what the long-term revenue model might be, because it is a solution for a lot of, it is a valid solution for a lot of merchants.
Yeah.
What I don't understand about the way that the partnership terms have changed is, and this is sort of where my speculation is, and again, I don't speak on behalf of my employer at all. When somebody goes to the trouble of changing legal documents and legal terms and spending that money, they're doing it for a reason. Nobody does that with no reason whatsoever. So if somebody had a conversation internally at Shopify that intentionally said, we have to stop some bleeding somewhere, okay? And when somebody put in language that, by the way, they've stood by and they've refused to go back on. So they added language that says you cannot disparage Shopify or encourage a merchant to leave the Shopify platform if you support more than one vendor. That means that anybody any Shopify Plus customer that I have at Something Digital, I can never encourage them to move to Magento, even if it's right for them.
No way. That was changed.
Correct.
That's crazy. See,
I can do that at risk of my partnership status with Shopify, which if you are one of those agencies that, that do have a revenue stream from those early days of the partnership program, like you could be putting that revenue stream at risk because you're putting your partnership at risk.
Oh yeah.
It's a scary thing that they've put this in place. Now, maybe that's not a conversation that happens every day for us. That definitely is not a conversation that happens every day. And many people stay on e-commerce platforms for 4 or 5 years, but it's happening somewhere because nobody makes this kind of change for no good reason.
That's interesting. I hadn't heard about the non-disparagement. That's that's interesting. But I'd heard that additional percentages were being requested from certain partners and things like that.
Yeah. Well, there's that, and then
I heard the MailChimp thing was all about money. Even though in their press releases they say that it's related to not.
Oh, it's all about data. Yeah, as far as all the public facing conversation, it's all about data. It's all about privacy and it's all about data, and Shopify slinging back and saying, our customers expect that you're not collecting data on them. That is not and MailChimp's collecting data on our Shopify customers with the app, and we don't know what that data is because they're being cagey about it. So everybody's slinging mud. But at the end of the day, nobody chooses a hill to die on that's purely out of principle. Like, our customers are so important to us that we are going to allow Klaviyo and everyone else who's trying to grab our lunch on a particular platform to just win, right? It has to be about money.
Yeah. To quote the great Ben Marks, it's always about money.
Yeah. And by the way, the people that bang the pot the most, that it's like, oh, it's not about the money. It's not about the money. It's not about the money. They're the people that it's always mostly about the money.
Yeah.
Anybody who tells you it's not about the money, like they're just telling you that it's entirely about the money. It's not about anything else.
So it's kind of interesting development. I have to give a what goes around comes around to MailChimp on this particular one.
Are you still salty about Mandrill?
Oh yeah. Mandrill good. # never forget.
But what's funny is that if you look at the track record of any company that built its audience based on openness and APIs, none of those companies do that anymore. Twitter doesn't do it anymore. Facebook doesn't do it anymore. Like, it is any company that gives away that sort of access and data for free to attract an audience, once they have the audience, has no reason to give it away for free anymore.
Yeah, I mean, any platform play, you're trying to build up critical mass, and then once you do, the dynamics change. It's not that anybody's trying to be unfair, and the way things can be rolled out can be better than others, can be handled better than sometimes it can be handled better than other times. But the dynamics just change as a platform business when you reach a certain critical mass.
Yeah, and I think especially when you're a company like Twitter, or you're a company like Facebook, when you have market forces, to have to contend with, when you have shareholders and stock prices, and those things are it's more about platform adoption and growth and revenue, and doing all those nice fun things that developers care about, like having APIs that are actually mature. Twitter still uses OAuth 1. I mean, they just don't care about the developers that made them successful in the first place, which is okay. Like that's just life.
Yeah,
So and that's what happened with Mailchimp, and that's what happened with Mandrill, and that's what happened, with you guys.
Right. Are we at our time here?
Yeah.
Let me give a quick Commerce Hero plug.
Please.
Quick and simple. We got mad candidates. We got senior devs in the U.S.
They're all angry, every single one of them.
No, we have like some really good we got people in the U.S. 100 to 125 range. We got PMs. We got a couple killers in Europe, Latin America. M2 professional certs all over the place. That's it. So
you've got mean mad people, and you've got people that are killing people, like Kathy Griffin, just chopping heads off left and right.
Chopping.
So what you're saying is that you've got a ton of developers looking for work.
Yes, that's
some real beasts out there.
Real beasts. I need more companies that want to hire, because sending too much stuff to Magetalk, I got to start balancing it out. Putting like a 3-day hold on anything that goes to them.
That's funny.
All right. Well, thanks everybody for tuning in. And
thank you for listening. Like and subscribe everywhere. And 4 weeks to Imagine, May 13th through 15th. I'll see you there. So I'm pretty excited about that.
On Periscope, maybe?
See you on another time.
All right. Over now.
All right.